Here you can see I have painted everything on the sprue, and here I'm just clearing up all those little pieces that hold the parts to the sprue. So just filing them off. I find this quite enjoyable. It gets you into the mood because you know that these parts are going to fit properly once they do go together. Just showing you that the paint doesn't get into all the areas while the parts are on the sprue, and so we will touch these up later. I've put down some paper so you can see the parts and what I'm doing a bit clearer. I've painted the ladder and the LED grille black. So I'm using Loctite super glue. Any super glue will do. You'll also see the tube with the green cap. That's super glue gel, and that just dries a little bit slower. So first of all, we make the light head kit. So as I'm gluing this together, I've realised, yep, it's stuck to the paper. So you can't see my lips moving, but I'm using some choice words in my head. Not a problem. We can rebuild it. So onto the light head itself. These 4 pieces clip in. Yeah, still using the paper. And just a dab of glue in the corners is enough to hold them. So I'm just checking that it's nice and square and that the grille is going to fit. So a couple of dabs of glue, drop in each corner is plenty. Just holding that, nice and square, putting a bit of pressure on. And out with the lights themselves. These LED panels have 24 LEDs on them, and they put out some serious light. Now you'll notice there's a removable paper on the back of the light. It's got a sticky self-adhesive pad on the back. I haven't taken the paper off just in case I need to replace one at a later date. Thanks to Shane Hughes from Hughes Garage for that advice. I stole his idea. This one didn't want to fit properly for some reason, so I flipped it over. It was a bit better. I thought I'll take it out and I'll fit it properly. So there you go. It's sitting in there quite nicely. No glue needed, such as the fit of magnetic racing kits. Okay, let's start. So just measure up, make sure everything's going to fit together and all the lugs go in the appropriate cutouts. So that's all good. So we'll put a drop of glue in a few places along the main structure and on the piece that I'm gluing it to. Just a drop here and there is plenty. Can you guess what's going to happen here? So anyway, I'm putting it together making sure that all the lugs are in the cutouts. I'll use this to get things square. Meanwhile, the glue is seeping into the paper. But at least it's square. This is pretty important, this part. You need to make sure that the ladder doesn't protrude out further than the frame that you're gluing it to. This is because we've got another piece that's going to go on that side, and if the ladder is past that piece on the bottom that I'm putting the glue on now, the side piece won't go on, basically. So you could even go in a little bit, but I chose to go right on the edge. So these light heads fit really well most of the time. It depends how much attention you pay to that little cross piece, to the bottom piece that you glue it to, because those holes there have to line up perfectly. Now this one isn't too bad, so just drop a drop of glue in there and it's a simple push fit. That one went together really well. Now we glue the wires in. So you have to pay attention here, because if you want a neat finish, then you really have to sort of plan this out, think about it, put your glue down and get into it. So I'm laying the wire down so that it sits flat, as in the two wires inside the sheath are side by side. You can just hold it there, however, because the wires have been coiled up in the bag, they tend to want to spring back, so I'm just using some mini clamps to hold it in place while the glue does its thing. And that is done. So this is an extra little piece of ladder that they throw in, and this is pretty easy to put on. You just line it up first before you glue anything. Just make sure it's going to sit where you want it to sit. Apply a couple of drops of glue and that's it, it's done. So that's where I want it to sit. I think that looks good. So that's where I'm going to put it. So a drop of glue, top and bottom of the light, and a little bit on the ladder. Position it. And that's done. So as I said before, if you don't get the holes lined up perfectly, it can be a bit hard to get the second piece in. So what I've done is file away ever so slightly along the lugs. Now I've done it on both sides, and I've even taken a bit off the length. So I've just run the file along the two of them like that. And that means it's just going to go in a little bit easier. Drop a glue and all's good. So once you get the frame into the light head, you've got to quickly work along and make sure that it snaps into place all the way along. I'm just checking the head there again and noticing that it hasn't gone in properly at the top. So I'll just work my way along, snap it into place, click, in it goes. Now we just work along and glue in the back pieces which complete the structure. So I dab a glue in the holes, that's all we need. Pop it in, close the sides up, hold it for a couple of seconds, let the glue do the work. Same with the top piece, bit of glue along the sides, or you can pop it in the hole, but because this has only got two lugs, it will probably sit a bit better with the glue on the sides. And see that needs to be touched up. So I'm just lifting the light head up because it's just a bit easier for me to do this while I'm trying to film as well. So a bit of glue, and that just pops in nice and easily on the top. And we'll drop it back down and continue with the last two pieces. And the last piece that goes on has the lugs towards the bottom, and this is the part that will actually go into the base and locate it. So as mentioned earlier, the paint doesn't get to all of the areas while the part's on the sprue. So now once the model is put together, you can see the areas that need touching up. So just go along and whatever you can see, touch it up. So I've used a silver Hammertone paint in an aerosol for the bulk of the paint on this model. And to touch up, I'm just using some Tamiya titanium silver. Just using a fine brush, a small fine brush, and just making sure that you're taking your time not to hit the black LED grill. And this is one of the most important parts of the build, I think, because you don't want unpainted parts on a painted model. So I just go around and touch up everything that needs a bit of paint all around the model, and it just finishes it off nicely. So the base comes with the kit. It's just two pieces glued together. Just make sure you orient them the right way, because you need to make sure that the holes line up so that you can pass the wires through. So I start with a grey base, and then I get some flat white and flat black aerosol paints, and I hold the part at arm's distance, and I just spray very lightly, and using variations on the pressure of the nozzle on the can, you can create splatter. And I think this looks somewhat like concrete. So I've started to add some rust to the structure, and you can see the three paints on the mat. They're the ones that I use. And I just look for the corners and touch them up. Okay, so just using Tamiya paints. These are a darkish brown, a nice bright orange, X6, so it's a gloss, and here is a flat, well, it's a brown, it's called brown, it's like a grey brown. So I've already dabbed on some orange. So just using a very cheap children's paintbrush, I've cut all the bristles down. It's got quite stiff bristles, which is what I want, because I'm just going to dab the paint on. I'm not actually painting. So as you can see, just dabbing over where I've painted the orange. I'm just going around in the corners where the rust would collect and form. And then I'm just spreading it over, wiping it off, essentially, because I'm not putting a lot of paint on. There's hardly any on my finger. So just go around all sides of the model, just dabbing it on, rubbing it off. Just starting off lightly. It's easy to put too little on than too much. And it looks, looking back on the video of it, it looks quite dark and strong. So onto the gate, and I'm starting with the brown and then moving on to the light brown, whereas I did it the opposite way. I started with the orange on the tower, just seeing what works best. There's no rules, hard and fast rules to this. It's just see how it goes. Try it yourself, and you'll soon work out what you like and how you like to do it. Finishing off with some orange. We don't need a lot. It's just a highlight. Give it a smudge, rub it in, and we're done. So now we'll glue the gate on, and you can glue it open, closed. It's up to you. It's just a piece that's glued onto the base. There's no locating tabs or hinges or anything. It's just whatever you want. And here we have the finished product. We'll call that done, I reckon. I've just got to add a couple of signs that I'll print. So I've really enjoyed building this kit, and if you want to search magneticracing.com, you can find many kits to build. So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And check out this great slot car channel. It's Slot Car Wildman.